Welcome everyone to our Ants Team Live training. Every Tuesday night we gather here at 8 p.m. to share our wins for the week, to learn from each other, and to share the things that we're doing in our lives and in our businesses to help build community. So whether you're a part of like the official Ants Team or a part of the extended Ants Team family, welcome and thank you for joining us. Go ahead and get started in the chat box. Share your wins for the week, the things that you're celebrating, the things that you've accomplished. I know for myself, we are really excited about this new Avon incentive, the Share the Love incentive. If you missed it, head on over. Well, don't go now, but after tonight's live stream, head over to my channel. You can see the video that we did last week where I shared some of the things that are going to be included in the starter kit, as well as a few ways that you can use the starter kit when you purchase, a few things that you can say when you're sharing the love with others. But I've been out with my team this past week, really sharing the love with my team, as well as alone, and it's been really fun. I love that Avon has this new incentive. It gives us something else that's brand new to talk about when we're talking to people. It allows us to reconnect with people that we might have lost touch with. I've been sharing it with teammates, with customers, with past recruits. So I'm just putting it all out there because I think that this is a really great opportunity to get started with your business if you haven't already. And I shared this a little bit last week. But again, something that I started mentioning as the week went by that I don't think I mentioned on the live stream last week was that we're right on the cusp of the holidays. Like fall, Thanksgiving, Christmas are just right around the corner. I've been looking at my calendar for the next 2 months, and I gotta be honest with you, I feel like every other week there's a brand new event, a brand new activity, and I haven't even really started planning in fairs and fundraisers and all the things that usually happen throughout the year. Just, you know, general life stuff is already coming into play. I've been talking with my family about events that we're doing in September, about family vacations, about conferences, Avon conference. You guys know I'm a huge nerd, so my family and I will be going to New York City Comic Con. So there, we've already started planning all of those things, and those things don't kick in until end of August, September, and October. So I think November is like the only month that I haven't really touched. But now is a time to start planning for those activities down the pipeline because it doesn't really. I know right now we're kind of just like it feels like we're just getting into the summer. We just started having summer weather, and wow, it's really been summer weather, but we're just kind of getting into the swing of summer, but really and truly, we're already starting to plan fall and winter. So now is a great time, and I encourage you guys, for those of you who are representatives already, to not sleep on this. This incentive ends August 6th, so we don't have as much time to share. Even for myself, there was an idea that I had that I wanted to do, and when I thought about it, I was like, you know what? Can't do it. I mean, I can, but why should I wait for for myself to do that where I could just get jumping on it right now and continue with the activities that I've been doing all along, continue with belly to belly, email, text, phone calls, as opposed to, waiting for the right time to do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, there are people where I had planned to meet up with that I'm not even waiting until I was supposed to see them. I'm calling them ahead. Like, I know we're supposed to get together in a week or two, but I just want to let you know about this really great opportunity that Avon has now. We can talk about it more then, but if you want to get started with it now, I can help you do that. So, I just want to encourage you guys, whether you're a rep or you're thinking about becoming a representative, now is the time to join. My mom always says, do not put off for tomorrow what can be done today. And that's something that resonates with me. I am a procrastinator, just it's in my blood, but there are some times where I kind of feel in my gut like, okay, this is something that you cannot sleep on. You have to jump on it right now. You need to take action. And I'm actually going to be talking to you guys today about the importance of taking action and some quotes that I found in my personal development I wanted to share with you. But I just felt like this past week was really like I kept hearing from different sources, and you guys, I've shared with you before that I feel like I'm a little bit slow. Sometimes it takes me a moment to get on the train with something, but I always find that things resonate with me the most when I hear it from different sources. And usually the first time I hear it, I kind of file it away like, okay, yeah, that was a great thought, and it goes. But then I have to hear it a second or a third time. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, okay, wait, I heard that before somewhere else. Where did I hear it? What was that person saying? How can I apply this to my life? And this past week, in like, there's so many different ways that I kept hearing, don't put things off. Now is the time. Today is the day. Don't put off for tomorrow. Tomorrow's not promised. And I just kept hearing that all last week. And it just started to sink in today that, this thought and this idea of getting going now is really important. So this is that season of getting going. Growing up, we used to hear a story about the ants, how they, before winter comes, they start storing up food and they start making preparations for winter instead of waiting for winter and then trying to scramble and get things together. And I always, my team is actually called the ants team, but ants have always been something that I admired. I mean, for our team, we use ants as an acronym, but it stands for action, new beginnings, tenacity, and success. But I took the idea of the ant because of the way that they prepare, the way that they work together as a team, the way that one ant will wait on others, and they just work together. They can carry huge loads. There's so many things about ants that I admire, but for this topic of discussion, it was their tendency to plan ahead and prepare, and they don't wait until September where the first frost of cold, although lately our Septembers have been warmer and warmer. But the ants don't wait until they're like, oh wait, it's snowing, winter's here, we need to start getting things together. They start from now. So I want to encourage us. This is not the talk for tonight, but I will snowball into that in a minute. But I just want to, as a side note, encourage you guys to sort of be forward thinking and be conscious that there isn't as much time as you would think. So you don't want to put off things for the future when you could do them now. So if you have people that you are thinking about sharing the opportunity with, get in touch with those people now, today. Contact them, share the information with them, let them decide, and encourage the people that you're sharing with. A lot of times I talk to people, it's like, yeah, I want to do that, but the time isn't right now. I'm waiting for the perfect time. When I get the right job, when I retire from my job, when I have my children, where my children are moved out of the house. And, we're always waiting for that perfect time and it just never comes around. So don't wait for that time. Go about it now. Take advantage of this amazing opportunity, this Share the Love incentive, and use that as a leverage for your business. I don't want, a lot of times Avon puts out these incentives, and while it's going on, we're busy with life. Life happens for all of us, and things happen and are going around, in our lives, in our jobs, in our families. And then after the incentive is over, then all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, that was great. I can't believe I missed that. I was just busy with stuff. I really wish I had gone back and I had done that. Same thing with RepFest. Shameless plug, RepFest coming up in 2 weeks. A lot of times after RepFest, I remember last year when I got back from RepFest, there were so many people who said to me, man, I really wish I had gone. You guys look like you had a really great time. You guys got to experience Aspira ahead of time. Oh my gosh, you guys are getting all that free product and free samples. I want a cute little tote bag. I want to experience Aspira. But the time passed when you were to be involved in that and get out there and attend, or the time had passed where you were supposed to be in saving mode so that you could prepare for the conference, things like that. So I just want to encourage you guys to sort of be mindful of that. So let me head on over to the chat box. Oh, my wins. Okay, sorry. So that was my mindset this past week. This week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I was out in the field. As you guys know, I work full time, but I try to get out in the evenings and on the days where I'm off to partner with my teammates and get out in the field. And I was really excited about the feedback that I got from people. I went to different areas that I hadn't been to in a while, and I got to connect with customers and potential recruits. And the thing I kept hearing was, it wasn't just the usual, oh wow, Avon's still around. It was like, wow, there's still Avon reps. I used to have a rep. I used to love my Amari. I used to love my Candid. I used to love my Far Away. And I lost my rep, or I haven't seen a brochure in a while. I didn't know if you guys were still selling. I love this fragrance. I used to use this fragrance years ago, but I haven't been able to find it. I'm so glad to see you here. And I was just like, yeah. Like that's what you want to hear when you go out. But I wouldn't have heard it if I hadn't have taken advantage of that timing and gone out. So let's jump on over to the chat box. I want to hear what you guys are celebrating, the things that you're doing. And it doesn't have to be, I went out and I got 50 recruits. Sometimes it's something as simple as, there's something that I wanted to do that I was afraid of doing and I did it. Maybe it wasn't as successful as I wanted it to be, but the fact that you even got out there and did that. I know sometimes you guys will message me like, I did X, Y, and Z, but I was kind of timid about sharing it because I didn't know, because, it's not like a huge win. It's a win. If it's something that you're celebrating, something that you accomplished, something that you set out to do, that you actually did, it's a win. If you set out to clean your desk and you got it done this weekend, chalk that up to a win. Share it in the chat box. Let's celebrate that together. So why don't we start off with Miss Patty? Hi, Miss Patty. Charlene, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Milagros, hello. Janet, oh, getting right in there with her win for the week. She got a new recruit. Woo woo! Congratulations, Janet. Clarissa saying hello to everyone. Oh, Janet's got a second win. She said her beacon wave is really getting a lot of hits and card views. She didn't never knew. She just finished 200 postcards to send out in the mail for the Share the Love incentive. Awesome. So they're getting ready to go out this week. She also created 1,000 flyers to go on car windshields, which she will be doing in the mall parking lot this Thursday and Friday. So Miss Janet is working her business, and I love that she's using multiple resources. I told you guys earlier that I've been reaching out to my contacts by phone, text, and email. Miss Janet shares another set of ways. So, you find what works for you, but also be encouraged to connect with people in a multitude of different ways, because you might be good with phone, but the person you're trying to contact might be good with email. So Miss Janet is reaching out to her people by with Beacon Wave, which is some sort of social media, her postcards in the mail. She's also like physically going and putting flyers in cars. So I know Miss Janet is going to be reaping the rewards because she's got the action steps behind her goals and she is working it. So Miss Janet, if we had like a student of the month poster board, your face would be right there. Congratulations, Miss Janet, and thank you for sharing. Shout out to Miss Elsa. Hello, how are you? How's it going? Milagros, thank you. It took a while for Ant's team to gain some traction, but now it's getting there. um, let's see. Yeah, Janet, I hope to meet you and your daughter too. I know we missed each other last year, so hopefully we'll get a chance this year to meet. Um, yeah, hopefully this year we get a chance to meet up with each other. So, all right, guys, continue sharing your wins in the chat box. I want to take a little bit of a side note. I'm jumping the gun because we're not anywhere near campaign 19, but I did want to just take a moment to mention. I brought this for like discussion purposes, but have you guys seen the campaign 19 what's new, or have you read your emails to hear about the new incentive that Avon is launching? I wish I had some dirt, some inside information, but Avon is going to be doing something big, something that they've never done before, and it's supposed to be rolling out in campaign 19. And guess who will be the first to hear about it? It appears that they will be announcing their new huge whatever it is. I don't know if it's an incentive or maybe a special guest star or a new product or what, but it will be announced at RepFest. So for those of you who will be there, you will be among the first to know about what this new incentive is. So keep an eye out for that. I love, not that I love gossip, but I love a surprise. The fact that, and I think Avon knows that we just love, we can't go without a surprise. So they did this just to give us something to look forward to. And I mean, I'm already looking forward to RepFest, meeting all the representatives. The swag bag is always like either number one or number two on my top 10 favorites of RepFest. I will be streaming for you guys and doing some not so much behind the scenes, but here I am. Here's what's happening. Follow along with us. So I'm looking forward to getting this big reveal, and I love that Avon is kind of doing this. That they're holding on to some secrets for launch and exposure at RepFest, just because it kind of encourages us again to be there, to be a part of that conference where we can get to hear and see and experience firsthand. And I'm pretty sure, and if they're not planning this, then maybe someone will could make this happen. But they might do something special for the representatives, especially who are at RepFest. Last year they did the Aspira bundle. I think that they unknowingly spoiled us, because now I'm forever going to be looking for something that's just for the reps that attend RepFest. They are doing double dollars for campaign 19. So I still feel they told us about that already. So I want another surprise. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they have for us that they roll out. Let's see. Charlie says she could work online. Oh, could she work online only because she doesn't have a car? Charlie, absolutely. This is a business that you can work around you, your schedule, your work life. So when I started this business, I started at 17. I didn't have a car. I hitched a ride with people. If my mom or my dad, well, not so much my dad, but my mom and my neighbors, if they were going into the next town, I would ask for a ride with them, and I would throw all my brochures in the back, and I would bring a little shopping cart, and I would let them drop me off somewhere along the lines on their route. And then I would hand out all of my brochures. I would talk to people, and then until all my brochures were gone, and then I would hop on the bus and I would come back. I also worked my business around things I was already doing. So when I went grocery shopping, when I went to do laundry, if I went to the library, or if I was going to school, or work, I would talk to the people around me on the bus, on the train, the other people in the building. So Charlie, absolutely, most definitely, this is a business that you work around your life, and that you can tailor to the way you work. Miss Janet, for example, she gave an example of her giving out the flyers on cars and doing postcards. I know there are some representatives who prefer online, social media, and they have a following that also pertains to social media. So look at your customer base, your friends, look at how other people around you get their information, and try to integrate yourself into that system. Try to find brand new ways that you can get out there. The key, and I'm actually, thank you for asking that question. Actually, I'm actually going to be talking about that today. We're going to be talking about action steps, and the importance of those action steps. So thanks, Charlie. Stay tuned. We've got more info for you. um, Janet's speculating on the big reveal. So Janet says she thinks that the big reveal must have something to do with getting your mugshot on the cover of something. Hmm. Or maybe an ad for Avon, just because of the cover. I was thinking maybe like a celebrity, and then I said, no, they've done celebrities before, but yeah, maybe they're gonna feature representatives or customers. It does kind of give you the feeling like something's gonna be in the spotlight. So is it a product spotlight, or is it a person spotlight, or are we having the kind of person that we've never had before in the spotlight? So keep the speculation going. I'm all for that. So why don't we go ahead and dive into our topic of discussion for tonight? So I share with you guys that I often do personal development, which is just basically a time that I spend sort of investing in myself, in my personal growth and development. And a lot of the times it's the source of our topics of discussion here. It's the source of the trainings and information that I share with my team, the encouragement that I share on my Facebook page or in my Facebook groups. But I find that, sort of like a bucket, I need to be poured into in order to pour out into other people. So when I say personal development, it's nothing special. It's basically any reading or listening that I do. Avon now has a podcast, which I downloaded just this morning and was getting ready to listen to, and lost cell service. But I haven't had a chance to listen, which I'm super sad about because I've been dying to. Matter of fact, that reminds me, I should turn on my Wi-Fi and get that done right now. But so when I was working on my personal development, I was actually in success.com. Some of you, again, shout out to RepFest, but a few years ago, I believe in Orlando, maybe 1, 2, 3 years ago. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but Darren Hardy was one of the speakers on the main stage at Avon RepFest, and he's also, he works with Success Magazine, and that's where I started to really know about Success Magazine. I think Avon had he had partnered with Avon to give us some free access and information. Hashtag Avon freebies, and I started to read Success Magazine. I like the positives. I like to read things that are encouraging. I don't really follow up. Like I know what's happening in the world, but I don't really get into it much because it can be depressing and stressful to read about, murders and horrible stuff every single day. I like to read about positive, uplifting stuff that's going to help me move forward in life. So I was reading this article on Success Magazine. It was actually published last month. It was written by Cecilia Myers, Niece, Niece probably looks like Niece Vanderoe, and it was titled "A Simple Formula for Success: Execution over IQ." And I kind of latched on to that because that's something that resonates with me. But there was this quote. Well, the article was about this woman named Kim Perrell. You can read about her. You can actually, I recommend looking up this article because, to be honest with you, there were so many quotes that I had written down. Thanks, Patty. It was Orlando 4 years ago. So with Miss Peril, the article that it kind of gives you a summary of her life and her achievements and her accomplishments, but also some of the obstacles that were in her way, the way that she was grown up, the businesses that she had that failed. But I had a lot of quotes that I had taken from the article, and I just felt like if I really wanted to, we could probably spend like a series just unpacking some of the great quotes in that article. So kudos to Miss Meese and Miss Peril, Miss Peace for writing the article, and Miss Peril for sharing her life story. But one particular quote that I wanted to share with you guys tonight was this quote. She said, "You could be a great visionary, but if you don't pair vision with action, it's just your head in the clouds." I'm going to read that one more time so that you don't have to rewind. She says, "You could be a great visionary, but if you don't pair vision with your actions," we're always talking about action steps. We're always talking about not just saying that you're going to do something, but actually getting out and doing it. So when you pair your vision with your, if you're not pairing your vision with your actions, your head, it's just your head in the clouds. And when I read that, I kind of thought about another article, also by, oddly enough, a person with the initials KP. But Catherine Patterson has a quote, and if you look it up, it says, "A dream without a plan is just a wish." And we've actually done talks about that quote. We've talked about it in the past. It's one of my favorite quotes. It's one of the quotes that I bring up when I'm working with my team. I even think I have it in one of the guides that I put together for my team when they're getting started in an email or something like that. But those two things resonated with me so much because it gives you the importance of the action steps. A lot of times, we get into this niche where we're talking about doing stuff, or we're attending the classes and doing the trainings and going to the meetings, listening to the podcasts, reading the books, checking the emails, preparing, like labeling brochures, making flyers. I'm a person, my career is in architectural design, so I love to design flyers and websites, and I like to do that creative stuff. But if we don't put those things together with action steps, things could quickly get out of control, and we could end up in this situation where our head is just in our cloud in the clouds, or our dream is just the witch, and we find ourselves, not seeing the results that we want because we're really not doing the action steps. And I in our talks here, I'm always talking to you guys about, what are your action steps? What are you going to do to get yourself to move forward? With my team, we do trainings, and then probably to their annoyance, I try to say, okay, well, what are your action steps for the next week? What are your action steps that are going to be between now and the next time we talk together? How are you going to track your progress? Why? Because it's easy to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be this, I'm going to have that, but it's a much harder to sort of um, put your ideas, to convert them into to doing something. So today I wanted to share some things that you could do to help convert your ideas into an action plan. So the first thing I like to do, and that I've shared with you guys multiple times, it's all the way over there, I'm not gonna get it, but I'm big on journaling. I like to keep a personal journal so that it's not so much a journal of, today the flowers were blue and I met a man on the train who was wearing red sneakers and had a funny hat and we went down the rabbit hole. It's not that kind of journal. It's more of a journal of what are my overall dreams and goals? What is my goal? What do I plan to accomplish in the next 90 days? And then the action steps to back it up. What are the things that I'm going to do to get myself to get closer to that goal? What days am I going to do these things? How many times per day, per week, per month am I going to do these things? At the end of the week, how do I track whether or not I was successful in doing those goals? For me, it's a checklist. Things like practicing the power of five, getting my brochures out, calling a certain number of my teammates, a certain number of leads, like physical, concrete things. Because I am the person that can easily get lost in spending a month redesigning. And I've done this before. A few years ago, I wanted to have the perfect contact database, and I spent like 2 months trying to figure out how do I manage my contacts, and how do I format them so that I can easily access them. And while that stuff is important, again, I was doing it as a productivity thing. I wanted to make my contacting, my follow up with my team members and my leads easier and faster. But I found myself just getting in this system where I was designing and not really calling the people. And I had to kind of rein myself in and say, okay, look, you're not. What was the purpose of this? To get better at making my contacts and my follow up. All right, well, what is it that I need to do exactly to get that done? Do I need to have the most perfect fonts? Do I need to have a beautiful, integrated, complex layout that works on my computer, my phone, and my tablet? Not unless I'm using all of those systems. If I'm really only working my phone, and you guys see, my phone really is just like, it's my notes, I run my business off of my phone, then I realized that I really just needed it to work on my phone and maybe my computer is backup. So I was able to rein in my goals of having created this amazing database into what is it that I really needed. And at the end of the day, it ended up being a spreadsheet. Just oddly enough, it ended up being something as basic as a spreadsheet that I now use to keep up with my leads. But what having your goal lined up with your action steps does is it keeps you from veering off the path. We're always talking in our live stream here about setting your goal and using that as your compass, using it as your roadmap, using it to keep you on track. But without those steps behind, you're just kind of staying in place. You could have the best action plan, the best goals, the best layout, but if it's not something that you're actually going to be actively pursuing, that doesn't really do you much good. So you do want to have your action plan fleshed out. And for me, my planner, my journal, my checklist, whatever it is for you, it's different for all of us because we all work differently. I will be honest with you, I actually had to sort of learn how to use the planner because um, I'm not normally a planner kind of person, but I realized how well it was helping me organize my thoughts and how well it was keeping me honest with myself. Because at the end of the week, when I look back and I saw I had a list of this much to do and I got one or two things done on it, it helped me to evaluate what I was really spending my time on. Was I really accomplishing the things that I planned to do, or was I setting out in the beginning of the week to do way more than I was capable of? And sometimes when I'm working with my team, we'll have huge plans. And again, I'm guilty of this too. I remember one year we were having a luncheon with some of the leaders in my district, and I was like, yeah, I really want to get to, it wasn't platinum executive at the time, it was like silver executive unit leader. They had a trip to Puerto Rico, and I wanted to go, and I was like, yeah, I really want to get to platinum in 6 months. Realistic goal, it was not. But I mean, could I have done it? Probably, but in reality, my action steps weren't really lining up with that. The infrastructure, my life, my team, we just weren't at that point. So you by having a planner, it helps you kind of get those thoughts out on paper and then evaluate whether or not they work. And that evaluation time, I'm still tweaking as I go. I still look at my goals and work on them each week, but I can, by having them in my planner, I could look at them and I could look at things that I did 2 or 3 months ago and track my progress. So for me, a planner was a um huge help in accomplishing what I wanted to do. So another thing that will help you keep your head out of the clouds is accountability partners, the people in your life who you can talk to and sort of bounce ideas off of, but who aren't always going to be like, yeah, 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 that's great, that's great, that's great, but who might say, okay, that is awesome. How are we going to do this? And a lot of times I will start off like that. I will start off like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then in trying to explain it to someone, I'm like, okay, yes, realistically, maybe we could do this, or break it up into phases where, our first 3 months is this, our next 3 months is this, and our next 3 months is that, so that we can get to that point. But just to be able to sort of rehash what your thoughts are again, whether it's getting it down on paper or verbalizing it and speaking it to someone, it really helps to have someone that you could communicate with and share those ideas with, so that you're not sort of letting your ideas spin out of control. You're not letting your plans get away from you, because again, you need to pair those huge plans with action steps. So if you can't get your actions, if whether it's because of lack of time or resources, or whether it's because you're still overcoming fears or still learning the ropes for yourself, you need to connect those actions to those goals. And sometimes that requires whittling it down. Sometimes, on the other hand, it requires honing your skill set, because you may have plans like this, but you may not really know what to do. So for me, again, personal development is something that I do. I'm big on just reading and getting plugged in. Whenever Avon sends an email, I open it and I read it. Even if it's a quick skim, just so that I know what is going on and what's happening. When we get our What's News in our What's New catalogs, there are usually here on page 50 of the What's New, we've got some of our fellow Avon representatives who are sharing their stories and their tips and their ideas. So I read those. Why can I not find page 50? Because it's at the back. Okay. So, and oddly enough, 100% not on purpose, but look, it's me. Um, but I'm also opposite of these representatives: Carla Little, Debbie Henry, Susan, and Lon Hicks. You know, these are people that are sharing their ideas. In usually by the samples, they have some tips for how to sample. Um, Ideas about the products. Let's see if I can find any. Here's, something as simple as this. Retinol is the number one wrinkle fighter recommended by dermatologists. I mean, I'm not a doctor, so how else am I gonna learn that stuff if I'm not reading about it? So, you don't sleep on these little informational tools when Avon sends them out to you. I mean, it is, it's just paper. It's easy to get your order and get into the products and not read this stuff, but there's important tidbits in here. I actually keep them. Sometimes I find myself referring back to them for information. Sometimes I'm looking for a quote or something to share with my customers, and I find myself looking in there. Avon University, Avon Training, Avon now has the podcast, the Facebook Lives, the Facebook channels. We all have our little groups. Sometimes I get in and I scroll through the different groups. I make comments and share encouragement. I also kind of look for different ideas. I also don't look for, what are the only things that I need help with. I get in there and I look at what other people are struggling with, because I have a team. And if I see someone else is struggling with something, I might be able to better connect with a representative on my team who's struggling with the same thing. So you do want to, sorry guys, I messed up the chat box. Uh, so you do want to get plugged into those systems. And earlier, Charlie was asking about how we work our business. What are, she, he or she, Charlie? I can't see the picture. Charlie saw other representatives and maybe was feeling like, wow, they're doing all these things with their cars, but I don't have a car. How am I going to function? There are a plethora of ideas out there from other representatives that don't have cars and the things that they're doing, whether it's on the computer or just by phone. I know reps, again, who some do not touch social media. Some are not doing mailings or postings or printing flyers, don't own a printer. Some are just like word of mouth, belly to belly, phone calls. But everybody finds their own way to make it work. But the key thing is, again, the action steps. If you're going to be working social media, you have to be careful. I'm not knocking social media, but I'm just saying, for an example, you can be on there posting, but are people seeing your posts? Are people interacting with you? Are you posting to the right groups? Are the actions, is that action really something that's going to get you closer to your goal? Are you doing it because it's something that you were told to do? So you can, as I said, there are representatives who are super successful with social media, but if you're doing it just because they did it, but that's not how your crowd functions, that's not how the people in your social circle find information, or if that's not how the people that you want to make contact with work, then it's not going to be all that effective for you until, you might get into that situation where you do start up to meet up and connect with people who do work in that realm of social media. But you have to look at your actions and really tailor them to your goals, to your crowd, to where you are in life right now. If you don't have a car, you can't tell yourself, okay, well, I am going to pretend that I do have a car and do all of these things that the car people do. It's not going to work out for you because you don't have a car. You just have to find what works for you. Another thing, I had one more. Again, phone calls. I remember maybe 5 years ago, I was all about texting. My generation, we text, but the people I was working with are phone call people. And I found that I was sending out texts, I was sending out emails, and then I found a system where, like with Avon Vibe, it tells you how many people are opening your emails, and I realized that people weren't reading the texts, people weren't reading the emails. So I had to learn how to do phone calls. I had to work time into my schedule to do calls. Calls like, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? What can I help you with? Hey, did you get your products? Did you enjoy them? Was everything okay? Did you get your order? I left you a sample the other day. Did you like it? What did you think about it? I had to teach myself how to do conversation. Um, I share with you guys probably far too many times, and I apologize, but it's probably not going to be the last time you hear this. But when I started with Avon, I was very, very shy, and it was really hard for me to hold a conversation with people outside of my family. Just it, I wasn't the kid who had the gift of gab. I wasn't constantly on the phone with my friends. I found it hard to be on the phone, and even now I still have times where I don't want to make phone calls. I just can't. Where I'm like, you know what, I need to, go design something on the computer. I need to feel a mouse for a minute. But I had to learn, and I learned by practicing. So again, those action steps. I just really love this quote by Miss Kelly, I believe it was Kim, um, because it just emphasizes how much you have to pair your actions with your visions. You have to just actually do the things that scare you. You have to do the things that are going to get you closer to your goal. It boils down to just doing. And I I remember when I first got started with this business, you get a lot of people who tell you, oh, you can't succeed at that. You'll never get anywhere with that. That'll never take you anywhere. And I look back at it now and laugh because my business has taken me out of debt, out of college, to Tahiti, Bermuda, and Bahamas. But at that time, I couldn't say those things yet. So when they would tell me these things, I was kind of just like, what? Well, I have to make it work because I don't have any other options for how to get out of debt or how to pay off my loans, or I don't have another job. So this is gonna I have to make this work. And in making it work, I just did stuff. I listened to the podcast. Well, back then it was a podcast. Avon used to have calls that we like. Now you guys have it great. We can log on to Facebook. We can get into to to. I feel like when your parents and like the elders are talking to you about in my time. But in my time, when I first got started, you had to call in at a certain time and listen to a phone discussion. I mean, we still kind of do this, but we didn't have the I didn't have access to replays. We didn't have YouTube where you could watch at any time. We didn't have GoToMeeting where we could interact. Hey Gina, thank you for joining. But that's what we did. We got on the phone and we joined the meetings, we listened in, and I took notes. And if I heard a top seller or Milagros, Lisa Wilbur, or Donna Reed Mitchell saying something, they did this, this, and this, I would go out and I would try it. And the first time I probably failed at it. And the second time I probably failed at it. But I kept doing it because I said, you know what, by golly, it worked for them. I'm going to have to find a way to make this work for me because overall, I've got to make this work for me. But it wasn't about me having everything lined up. As I told you, I was 17. I had no business experience. I was super shy. So I wasn't that, outgoing person. A lot of times people will say to me, yeah, I could use the money, but I'm not good at sales. Was not that person. Still not that person. um, I I didn't have the funds to invest. People will say, "Oh yeah, you got to, you have to have a lot of money to be able to invest." Didn't have it. Borrowed at that time when I joined, it was also $10 to start Avon. So, um, again, another reason why this share the love incentive is awesome. But at that time, I had to borrow the $10 from my mother. I didn't have the $10 to start. So, if you're thinking, you got to have a lot of money to be successful and build a working business, that wasn't it either. At that time, like now, I'm lazy. I'll go onto Vistaprint or Avon Town and Country, and I'll buy flyers and postcards. These are some postcards that I mailed out to my team and my old teammates and some of my leads. After Retfest, I had them printed. But before that, I did, see if I can get these. I did paper flyers. Let me make sure I share information, cover people's information. I did paper flyers, and you see, I still have them because sometimes, if I don't have the time to go online and order and wait for postcards and bookmarks to be delivered to me, I'll just quickly print. These are 6 reasons you should join our Avon team. It's a flyer that I got from that Molly Bibb was kind enough to share with us. So I said, well, it works for Molly. I'm gonna try it. These, you know, so it just became a matter of me just doing stuff. So I want to encourage you, like, not again to do it for the sake of doing it, like half-heartedly. If you believe you're going to be successful at it, and if you stick with it, and if you're doing the action steps to get you closer to the goal, you will succeed. And I think that the reason why a lot of people drop out of this isn't because the things that you need to do aren't working, because obviously there are people that are out there doing it and it's working for them, but I think it's that we didn't stick with it long enough. Could you imagine if, when my maybe third or fifth year into Avon, when people were still telling me, you never get anywhere with that, and I was struggling to build my customer base, and I maybe had just found my first recruit and had no idea how I was going to find the second one. If I had quit then, I wouldn't have come this far. And it didn't come because of something like a miracle that happened overnight. It was the action steps. It was labeling brochures at 2 a.m. in the morning so that I could toss them. Like Miss Janet going out at 4 o'clock in the morning to toss her brochures. Me going out at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning because I was too scared to be seen by people, out of fear that they might want to talk to me. I used to toss brochures early before people got up. And work my business in between my lunch period and in between my working hours on weekends and holidays. But my brother sometimes says, do the thing, just do the thing. There are things that you need to do, you just need to do them. And you may be looking at where you are now and where you need to be, and the difference is not your age, your gender, your finances. It's just a series of doing things. And it sounds a little bit ridiculous, but at the end of the day, talk to people. When you come to RepFest, and I've done this because I wanted to know, I felt like there was some huge secret that everybody was hiding. But, talk to people. What is it that got them ahead in their business? They did stuff. They talked to people, they had events, they got brochures out there, they promoted their business on social media, they made connections. What it boils down to, these action steps, is making connections. So if you could label brochures until you're blue in the face, but if they don't leave your house and get in the hands of people, then it's moot. The time that I spent changing the fonts on my on my super perfect customer database meant nothing until I actually called those people, until having that database made it easier for me to keep a record of my contact with those people. By the way, I ended up changing the database within like 3 or 4 months. I found another system that worked better for me, a spreadsheet, and a couple of other things. But there wasn't any single one perfect thing. It became a series of following up, taking notes, and actually referring to my notes. Even if my system was perfect, I never looked at it, wouldn't have done me any good. So, um, I kind of want to encourage you in that. And that's kind of where that quote encouraged me to be, because I'm not where I want to be yet in my business. And sometimes I do get frustrated with my progress or lack thereof. And I have to just keep reminding myself that I'm not where I want to be yet, but I have to keep going. I need to keep moving forward. I can't let anything discourage me because I'm not there yet. I still have that goal. And my goal is in front of me 24/7. Matter of fact, it literally is in front of me 24/7. I told you guys that I live on my phone. Well, my dream board is on my phone. Don't look. But um there are things on here that I hope for, and it's the background for my phone. So as I scroll through all my apps, they're there in the background. So Milagros always says, put your dream board somewhere where you can see it, whether it's a refrigerator. Jessica Zumbush, she shared with me that she leaves post-it notes on her mirror, or if it's your cell phone, you need to put it in front of you so that you're constantly motivated, so that you're constantly and encouraged to do the things that you need to do. And like Milagros says, consistently getting up and tossing brochures once and then never tossing again isn't going to do you any good. Getting up and talking to 5 people for one day and never talking to anyone again isn't going to do you any good. The action steps need to be repeated and honed and made yours. The way Milagros does things isn't always the way that I do things. The way that I do things isn't always the way that my team does things. But what's important is that we're doing our things. Again, as my brother says, we're doing the things, doing the things that get the things done that need to be done. So that's my chat with you guys tonight. So I want to encourage you. I'm going to share the name of the article again so that you, again, don't have to go searching for it. But it was successmagazine.com. You can search for a simple formula for success, execution over IQ. And I encourage you to read it because it does have a lot of other inspirational factors other than this quote. But you got to get your head out of the clouds. It's easy. It's really easy to be in a position where you're hoping and wishing and dreaming for X, Y, and Z, but you really need to lay out your plan 1, 2, and 3 ABCs before you can get to that point. So I hope you guys can take this and really incorporate it into your day-to-day activities, day to day, not day or day. It's not I'm going to do this maybe tomorrow, or I'm going to do this week and never again. It's really an ongoing process. And another quote that she mentioned in this was that when you love something and you're passionate about it, you can put the time into it. Basically, there was a quote about 8 hours easily turning into 16 hours. Why? Because she's the person I think she was talking about was and her in the early stages of her life were getting the action steps done. They were, nose to the grindstone. When you're working on something and the time just passes you by because you're ingrained in it, and you want to be at that point with your business. You don't want to be at the point where you're touch and go. You're in today and you're out tomorrow, because the results will really reflect that. I could see it, and you could see it, and if you really look at it, you'll be able to see it. So look at your actions, look at the things that you're doing, work on your planner. I encourage you, take the challenge to start a planner. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, it doesn't have to be expensive. I put my own planner together because I've used other ones, and I just needed something that, again, the designer in me just needed to make her own, but it made me work more efficiently, so that's all that matters. But whether it's a checklist on your phone, I love Evernote. Matter of fact, most of the nights where I'm doing my trainings with you guys can see, if I could open my phone, I'm actually working in Evernote. This is the Evernote app. It's what I use to keep all my notes for my personal development, for my trainings here, for my trainings with my team, for my team contacts. That ended up being part 2 of my system. But it's about the consistency, like Malagra says, and doing the things that need to be done. So again, hope this encourages someone out there. Gina says she needs rest to help her restart her business. This year has been horrible for me. No, Gina, stop. Gina, what are we talking about? You don't need RepFest to make this to restart your business. It starts within you. RepFest is not going to be the catalyst. It's going to be the support for that whatever is ingrained in you, your own unction to move forward and work your business. If we wait for those outside forces to inspire us, whether it's for me the perfect customer database or the perfect Avon incentive or RepFest, we'll be waiting till kingdom come. It's got to start with you. You have to decide for yourself, you know, by golly, doggone it, whatever happens, this is my business. I'm sticking with it. As a matter of fact, as Darren Hardy said, another quote that stuck with me: this is my mountain. I'm getting to the top, or you're going to find me at the bottom dead. Regardless of whatever else happens, it's up to you, Miss Gina. And I know you can do this. But I am looking forward to RepFest, and I am looking forward to connecting you, and I am looking forward to getting fired up with you. But it's got to start with you. If you come into RepFest with, I am here to restart my business. I'm going to turn this year around. I'm turning it around, and I'm going to start turning it around in this next 2 weeks leading up to RepFest. When you hit RepFest, you'll actually hit the ground running and just be able to, not use it as a launching pad, but I'm a gamer. So hopefully you guys understand this analogy. There are some video games where you're racing and then you hit like a small patch of road where it just moves you forward. But if you're not lined up properly and if you're not going at the right speed, that little trackpad, you guys remember Mario Kart? Or am I just making myself? Okay, anyway. If you're not lined up with that trackpad, then you're either going to spin out or you're not going to pick up the speed that you need to. So start racing before you hit that trackpad. That trackpad is RepFest. It's not going to be a thing that launches you, because if you're not moving when you hit that, you're not going to move forward. You got to be moving before you hit it. You got to be lined up before you hit it. You got to have the gas pedal in the right position before you get there. Miss Gina, I know you could do this. The fact that you're even here and looking forward to RepFest, you've already got this. This is already turning around for you. It started within you. You are turning it around for yourself. All right, guys. So looking forward to seeing you guys all. We're going to have one more chat before RepFest, and then all craziness is going to break loose, because like I said, I will be streaming and sharing all of that stuff. But looking forward to meeting all of you. Miss Janet is leaving us with some last words of don't give up. Success is almost there. It's like the picture of a man digging the tunnel, yes, to get his diamonds, and gives up when he only has one more dig/shovel left. You can't imagine that. Don't give up. Love that, Janet. Thank you guys for sharing that. Thank you all for sharing with me, and thank you for joining me. I'm going to cut out, and I will see you guys next week with some wins for the week, some action steps. Like, let's make that the challenge. Let's come back next week with a list of things that we did, like either the actual list, or like, if you're willing to share your actual list of things that you're doing, or the things that you got done. So make the list, stick with it, do the things, and do it consistently. Thank you guys for joining me. Have a great night. Bye.